speaker works. Can you hear me? Am I being heard? I think I was live earlier, but I didn't have the sound. When I checked later, I didn't have the sound. I was so upset when I got up this morning because I didn't sleep a wink last night. Not a wink. Oh, you can hear? Good. I didn't sleep a wink last night. I was up all last night with them projecting you and your son gonna be pedophiles. And then when they wasn't projecting that, he was projecting he had a monster dick. Can you imagine? I was up all last night with them projecting that piece of shit had a monster dick. And saying you and your son gonna be pedophiles. Because they were trying to cast curses on us because they pedophiles and that's how they do the curse. They destiny swap and make somebody else pay for the things that they do. And then I was up all night. I was up all night. Every time I tried to go to sleep, it was like it was like 5 people were standing around me, um, like casting curses and doing things to me. And I mean, when I say I was up until the sun came up, I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all. Yeah, you know what they described to me? Someone told me they like a roach infestation. Once they start, they hit you from every angle. Or not every, but a bunch of different angles. Once you get rid of one thing, another one come in. And it's like, it's just what it feels like. And so, I mean, I had the heart, I didn't sleep at all. You understand? And then when I got up this morning, after not sleeping at all, I got up to go to the store. And then I was like, oh, I gotta talk about this because it was much. And I went to the store and I did a little short video while I was in the store. And then I went back and checked the video. I didn't hear audio at all because something was wrong with my phone audio. So after that, it was just about, getting on with the day, you know. But it was crazy. And then when I came home, I guess somebody is because I can see things through the spiritual when they're doing things. I guess somebody was questioning him about some things that he had done to the people around him. And so he was casting curses about that. But last night, I mean, he was casting curses the entire night. And then when I look in the mirror, he's looking like, it's like he was looking out my eyes or something, looking all mean in the mirror, like, you know, he does something evil to, like a bully looks at you. So I was, I had to talk about it. It's crazy. But yeah, I didn't sleep at all. I had to come home and take a nap because and then it was spiritual sodomy. Part of it was spiritual sodomy. Hello, how are you? I'm working on another car. Something happened. Well, they actually wrecked my car. It's funny you should ask me if I drive today, because something happened to my car because they they did something to wreck my car. It's crazy, but now I'm working on another car. I had to deal with the reality that it was hurtful though not having my car. Did y'all ever listen to this AI for the culture? I was listening to this yesterday and this morning. And I'm going to tell you, my favorite ones, they got one on here that I really like that's new, look like. And it's called What's the Motherfucker Gotta Do to Make It in This World? I was trying to get the OBS set up, but for some reason my OBS isn't working right. It hurt me too to have to be back, to not have my car. That shit is hurtful. And it's a car. So when somebody wrecks your car, it's a car. And they've done things like that. It's been things in my life that I really loved or something very expensive that they would wreck up. And they had done things too. Yeah, and I hear cats are very spiritual. And my cat is a gift to me. Okay, so they've tried to kill her, but they can't kill her because she's a gift. And so, and she does a lot of different things. She's a very smart cat. And it makes me think that she was a person in another life. So y'all see this stuff on the news too, with Trump and with Kash Patel. Jasmine Crockett is like, on the list. They been knew Trump was on the list. And then that's one of the main people on the list that that's one of the main things that was on the list. I mean, not the list. The people were talking about the girls, the women, the victims. He one of the main people they were talking about the whole time. So now they come out and they try to act like they don't know that he's on the list. It doesn't make any sense. Use that. Um, Slaying Maxwell to another prison. Like, you know what I really think about her? I think that, oh, I already told y'all, right? I think that Epstein escaped to the under earth. And she's like dealing with the issues. And he left her, like, she has a whole bunch of stuff that he had in order to negotiate with. But the thing is, why is it that she just now negotiating? See, there's something wrong with that. She could have negotiated a long time ago because she been had the list. And she been knew all the stuff that had happened to it. So why would they wait all the way till now for her to be negotiating? But suddenly she's negotiating. And then suddenly they're acting like they don't know Trump was on the list when he was the main person they were saying was on the list. In the beginning, him and what's that guy in England? The Prince, hold on a second. No cooking. Um, is it Charles? They been knew that dude was on the list. So it didn't make any sense to act like on the list because they knew those people was on the list. So now, you know, it's capable. They're capable of doing all of that distraction and stuff because they use a bunch of witchcraft. So the witchcraft is what's creating the distraction, what's creating the diversions and stuff. Because people are acting like they don't know things that they already knew. Um, what was I talking about yesterday? I was talking about something yesterday, and I thought, let me go in today. As a man without regard. I am a female. Today, and they were saying, okay, y'all. I'm gonna get the shaving cream out. And some crazy stuff. Um, let me try to relax. But yeah, that was my day. Last night. I had that kind of night, and I kept, waking up and waking up because it was like I would get up, and it was a bunch of people around me, and then I got so tired. They were astral projecting in, and when they were astral projecting in, they were trying to bully me and um, cause what do you call abuse me. What is it? Sodomy, sexual sodomy, that kind of thing. This is some crazy stuff. And what it turned out was I didn't sleep, and then like I did some things, that kind of made it better, and I did some chanting the other day. 2 days, I think. 2 days I chanted, and then I did some other things. Chanting, the person who had, I can perceive them in the consciousness. Um, and, uh, come on the other day, yesterday, because that's what was happening to me. But the truth be told, I really should have, because if I had, I would have felt better. that, and then too, something was happening to my phone and the speaker on my phone. Trying to set up OBS. Me issues. So, and then I had this dream. I had this odd dream that I don't dream. And then I had another dream. But I'll tell you about one of the dreams I had that I don't think I told y'all about this one. I had a dream that I was walking, I was, just, and this guy came up to me and he was androgynous, but he seemed very heterosexual. So he walks up to me and he strikes up a conversation. And then without my knowing, he transports me to this place. So I go to this place, it's a bunch of women in this place. And for some reason, I'm aware that women go to this place, but he's the only man in the place. Him and me and a whole bunch of women, other women. So we're all in this place and we're all doing things with our clothes and with this and with that. And then it didn't seem like a terrible place. It just seemed like a place where women went. Um, but what I noticed that there were certain things done in the place, like that wasn't quite right. Like there were certain things about him. Like he seemed to like not treat all the women a certain way. Like it'd be a lot of women liking him, but then he don't like all the women. So he would like treat them a certain way that wasn't, I could see intrinsically like it wasn't right. Something wasn't right about the way he was treating some of the women. And something about him was not right, or it was not good. And I was noticing a bunch of these things in this place, but it wasn't, with me particularly, it was like I was noticing that with other women because I didn't happen to have like a like for him or anything like that. And once we got to the place, he started talking to the other women and mingling around and doing other things, whatever he was doing. And I was on this, doing whatever I was doing and walking around and just looking around at everything that was there. But I was aware that women came to this place, but I didn't know how they got there. And when I had gone there, he had transported me there and I didn't know how I had gotten there. Because I didn't say I wanted to go there. I don't remember him asking me. He didn't ask me if I wanted to go there. He started talking to me and suddenly I was transported there. So then at some point it was time for us to go home, but I did notice a bunch of things that wasn't quite right. So then when it was time for us to leave the place, we left the place on a path that they were taking to the place. And I remember saying to myself, that's the path they were taking to this place. And I walked off away from the place on the path that they had walked to the place in. And they knew where the path was, but I didn't know where the path was until that time. So then I was like, okay, now I know what this path is that these women take to this place. Well, we all left the place. And then sometime later in the dream, I found out that the dude was the devil. So once I found out the dude was the devil, I was like, okay, I'll never go to that place again. So I didn't. And so later on in the dream, I was minding my own business again. And I think I was like laying in bed or whatever. And he showed up again. The same dude showed up again and struck up a conversation with me, but this time I knew he was the devil. And I rejected him, and I was like, I'm not going to that place anymore. And he went away. And then after that, I woke up. But when I woke up from the dream, what I had noticed was the thing that was significant to me is that I didn't agree to go to the place he took me in the first place. But a whole bunch of other women went down the path, and they went to the place daily. And then when I left down the path to go away from the place, that's the only time I took that path. And then two, I noticed that at first I didn't know where the path was, but I knew other women knew where it was. But I didn't take the path there. And then once I took the path back, I knew where it was, but I never took that path again. So the other day we were talking about, I did all of that talking the other day. And then the whole video, I did like 2 hours, 2.5 hours of video. And then it wasn't there. And I still don't see it. So I don't know where that video disappeared to. But I was talking about, okay, round. I was talking about shapes. Now, one of the things I want to talk about when they talk about alchemy and the shapes, making the being. Making the being is important, but making a being isn't only about making a being literally, where you make a human and you make a earth and you make other different beings. It's also spiritually, psychologically, beings are made alchemically. Beings are always made by 6 times, what is it, 6 times 60, which is 360, that makes a circle. So when you talk about time, it's the same way. When you think about time, it has alchemical meanings. It has alchemical importance. The reason why time has alchemical importance is because the way you conduct time is going to matter very much, whether you understand it or don't understand it. It will always matter. Time will matter alchemically, whether you understand time mattering alchemically or not. What I'm saying by time matters is, okay, every 60, how I'm saying 60 seconds, 24 hours, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours. Each one of those have a definite alchemical projection. When I say projection, it's going to be like the face of the thing. The face of the thing, it's a circumcision. All these things have importance because it's happening in your daily lives, whether you have an understanding of it or don't. So it's better to have an understanding of it. And if you do have an understanding of it, then you can manipulate your daily life according to. 24 hours is making a being. So every day is a chance to gather knowledge and information, and make decisions or be at crossroads. Once you do, that's going to make a being. Okay? Being alchemically is it's going to be what makes up, beings alchemically with time is the same as being alchemically with bodies. Although the time has to do with the way the body is projected, and the way the time is managed of the body, it has a bunch of different importances. There, if you work, like one of the things I kept saying was, if you work, if it's something that you don't like to do, and you don't want to do it more than 4 hours. If you do it 4 hours, make the decision on the fourth hour to do it or not to do it, according to whether or not, however it feeds you, however it has an effect on your life. If you do something for 8 hours a day, every day, and you don't like it, it's going to affect your life whether you like the effect or not. It's going to become more and more of what you are if you do it for 8 hours a day. If you don't like working at a certain, say you don't like sewing, but you work in one of those factories where they sew clothes. If you don't like that, whether you like it or not, if you do it 8 hours a day, that's gonna have an effect on your projection. It's gonna have an effect on what's called the face of you. The face of you is what the being looks like. So if you're gonna do something 8 hours a day, it's gonna be what you look like after a while. That's why when the jobs have such an effect on us, because people tend to look like their jobs when they do them 8 hours a day. For instance, you have some people who are teachers. Okay? Now, before they start teaching, they might wear a certain kind of clothing. Once they start teaching, because it's something they're going to do 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's what they're going to wear more and more and more and more. And so that's going to shape the way they dress all the time. After a while, once they do it 8 hours a day, they look like a teacher all the time instead of only a teacher at work, because you might dress a particular way at work because you're working with children and dress a particular way at home. Say that's a complete opposite. Sooner or later, it's going to merge together, and the person is going to dress that way all the time because it's something that they do 8 hours a day. If the person taught 4 hours a day, then the person will continue to dress the way they dress when they're not teaching. Every single thing about that alchemically is what that is. It's not only with teaching, it's every single thing that you do. And then every 24 hours is an opportunity to have a build upon the being. So we add something to our being every 24 hours. So every 24 hours we're doing something. We're spending the whole day gathering knowledge and information upon our being. We're cultivating that within our being. And we're making decisions every 24 hours what to do. Okay, y'all, excuse me. I don't. Now, I know I've done this lecture before. Let's see if I can set this up again. I know I did this lecture before, a little bit, but I didn't finish it. And it has significance to what is happening. It has significance to alchemy. Let's see if that works. Now, the reason why, so I keep circling back to it because it has a significance to alchemy. Because it has such a significance to who we are. So you have to think about everything alchemically in those ways where they talk about time. And then it has a significance to me, of course. Um, I got off a little bit because that fly was bugging me. Reason why that's so significant, but people don't know as much about it as they should, has to do with And I hope y'all can hear me. Okay, so I did start talking about time and alchemy, but it occurred to me I probably did that a few times before, but I don't know how much I explained that to you. And then I kind of was distracted because it was something, a fly. Yeah, I hate flies. Flies, not because I hate, I don't hate being like living things, but the thing about flies is everything they land on, they like, I think they woo they doo on, and it's gross. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Okay, so today I'm talking about Bereshit. Now, the reason I'm talking about Bereshit is because it becomes significant. Because I looked online the other day, and people weren't clear about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And so I thought, well, today I'll go on and I'll talk about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Since I did, since it's good for me to go to talk about that again, so that people have a clear understanding of it.
interpreting it with your soul and mind.
All right, that's what I said. That's what I said. There's a definition. The soul is an abstract.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. Let's go with Brent. Brent, thank you so much for all the love.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about that. Tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Yeah, I had to kind of get it together. After last night, and I didn't sleep. I had to do something else. I had to do something to. Hello, how are you?
Hello, everyone.
Does anybody else feel like Whitney Webb may be an agent? Some of the way she says things. Okay, Genesis, Bereshit 1:1. In the beginning, he created Elohim, the heaven and the earth. Now, anytime it says he, it's the Atum. So in the beginning, Atum created gods, the heaven, which is the happiness, and the earth. The significance of having he in the first script, in this first script, is that it's saying Atum created heaven, the gods, and the earth. Now the reason why that's there is because the Atum is the person, is man. Anytime it says man, it means it's saying spirit. When it says he, it's talking about the Atum. It's saying females and males. The Atum created the gods, the happiness, and the earth. So that's saying that the females and the males created the gods, created the happinesses, and created the earth. Now when they say the earth is going to be once you understand it, it's going to be a dimensional meaning of earth. Earth is to say, this is to say that they are psychologically, I wouldn't want to say naming, because the reason why they're creating all of these things, the gods, the heaven, the earth, is because they are creating things to cultivate. So the earth is the land that we are on, the Eretz. Upon the earth, they are creating the gods because they are creating what it is that they are cultivating. So it's they're creating the gods, but then the gods are also creating them in their image. To create the gods, because when they're saying created, it's really saying this is what they are deciding these things are. That's more of an alchemical way of saying deciding what these things are, because they are cultivating them. They are they're creating the things, they're creating the goals, they're creating the motivations, they're creating the cultivations of those things. And then they are creating the heavens as they do that. And then as they do that, they are also creating the earth, because the earth is what they are naming the earth. And the earth is what's going to be the place for which the opportunities or the ports for those cultivations are. So everything in the sacred text is dimensional. It has way more dimensional meaning then some people look at it as face value. More often than not, it's not face value at all. Well, it is face value literally and exactly, because it's face value alchemically. Looking at it alchemically is to say everything alchemically has a face value, and that face value alchemically is always, it does not ever change. So those things in sacred texts are of stone. They're things that hold up over time. They don't change. And reading sacred texts alchemically, you don't have to adjust. You only have to know that sacred text is alchemy. And once a person can read alchemy, then we can see that all sacred texts make sense all the time in the exact. Because the alchemy is exact. As far as that being exact, gods are always making men in their image. Always. That's exact. Once a person understands the alchemy, that doesn't change. Gods will always rest on the seventh day. And man will always make that day holy, unless man goes to evil. Because once man goes to evil, that's the same as the, well, I could say 666 is the lie. Once man goes into the day is always the day of. When sacred text says a day is a state of time. It's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's a state of time. This is the day. And so the day of this is what is happening in this time. Therefore, always in the day of, or the state of time, once a god is cultivated, that's the sixth day. That sixth day, alchemically, on a triangle, on the grid, is 666. But then one must move forward. One must bring themselves forward. Bringing yourself forward is to alchemically evolve forward. So if you put that on a grid, that would be 6, 6, and 6. To evolve forward would be to go to 7. If one does not want to go to 7 and wants to continue at the consistency of 6, then one might lie. And so that's where you have 666. I really wanted to do, I don't know why, but what do you mean, what's your setup? What's RGB? I was mad at the cat because she was chasing a fly around earlier today. And then when that fly was bothering us, she wasn't doing anything. She was just sitting there letting it fly. And it was like, really? This is time? Oh, computer setup. I don't know what you mean. What's my computer setup? Okay, I have to go to Genesis, the 3rd chapter. I started the 1st chapter, but I remember now I gotta start with the 3rd chapter. Okay, so the 3rd chapter starts, now the serpent, he was crafty more than any of beasts of the field that he made, YahWeh, Elohim. And he said to the woman, indeed, really, he said, God not you shall eat from any of tree of the garden. He said, Elohim, not you shall eat from any of tree of the garden. Really? Now, first I'll explain. Everything in the garden is good. So when we have this chapter, these chapters, and they're talking about the garden and the spiritual trees of the garden. All the spiritual trees of the garden is good. So it's good to eat. in the midst of those spiritual trees is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So what they're saying is there are trees among those trees that have knowledge of both good and evil. That is to say that what those trees produce can be gotten by doing both good and evil. Do not eat from those trees, from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because the day ye eat of it, you will surely die. I mean, you will die. I mean, no, those who touch it will die. So it's saying those who touch it will die because hand is always to mean the things that you are doing. So if you do those things and you know of good and evil, because it's saying to know of good and evil is to know evil also. So when it says the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it's saying tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because it's saying then you know evil also. Okay, every tree is good, but you should know evil also. So if you touch it, which is if you do on that tree, the good and the evil, have have whatever it is that you want, the things that we want, and the reason why it says the fruit was good to eat is because those are the things that we want that are good, but people do evil things to get them. It's saying don't do the evil, only do the good. Now it starts off 3 saying, now the serpent, Atum, was crafty, more than any of beasts of the field that Atum had made. Evolution, Elohim. Serpent Atum. It's always, it probably says, of was, because he is an alchemical constant and an Atum. So Atum is always an alchemical constant. It can mean male and female. And it's saying that it was crafty. The serpent is seen as a masculine. And it's saying more than any of the beasts of the field, because those in the field, when ancient man looked around the fields and looked around the jungles, everything had sharp teeth. Had sharp teeth, they could see them. If it had big paws or big claws, they could see them. With the serpent, it's saying that it's crafty because you don't see the teeth until you bother it. You don't know how quick it is until you come across it or mess with it. It doesn't have big paws, big claws. It could look like a huge worm, but if you mess with that serpent, the serpent is very dangerous. And then it says, Atum had made YahWeh Elohim, and he said, okay, because it's saying something that is evolved. Elohim, which is evolution gods. And Atum said to the woman, now the woman is the man without regard. I'm going to explain that again because I'm not sure if y'all caught what I was saying, because it sounded odd to me. Indeed, really, Atum said, Elohim, not you shall eat, from any of tree of the garden. That this is man talking to man, because the tomb is actually saying these things. They're saying that it's a crafty person, saying that because this person is being seen, this evil is being seen as a serpent, is a crafty serpent, is something that looks harmless but is very dangerous. And the beast of the field that he had made YahWeh Elohim. So this is something more crafty than what YahWeh Elohim had made in the fields. And then Atum said to the woman, the man without regard. So that's very significant because they're talking to a man without regard. So a man without regard is a man with no gods, you know. They haven't found a God to cultivate. When we have gods, gods tell us what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. Gods are what we stand on. So we're going to stand, we stand on things according to our gods. But a person who doesn't have gods, like a Judas Iscariot, doesn't stand for anything, and so they don't have a thought process of what's good and what's evil, because it's the gods who tell us what's good and what's evil. So this is saying a man is more crafty than the beast of the fields that he had made, that Atum had made. It's saying that the representation of this Atum is a serpent. And that serpent was talking to someone without regard, someone without gods. So that means a very crafty person or something was talking. An Atum is a man or woman, and that man or woman was talking to something without gods. So because it was talking to someone without gods, it was able to tell them something that those others would reject and that person would do, like an Iscariot. You know, the Iscariot didn't reject the 30 pieces of silver because Iscariot doesn't have gods. One. Said to the serpent, from fruit of tree of the garden we may eat. So the reason why it says, and she said, is because it's saying, and enlightenment said. To the serpent. So you notice it said, and she said, the woman to the serpent. Now, most people would think said a female to the serpent. And but it's saying an enlightenment to the serpent. So it's saying, and enlightenment said the man without regard to the serpent, the crafty one. of the tree of the garden we may eat. So in saying this in number 2, it's saying this is enlightenment. This is something that someone is enlightened by. But this is a man without regard, so they don't have an enlightenment. They don't have gods. And the enlightenment said the man without regard, you see, to the serpent. So enlightenment. So this is saying the man without regard is now being enlightened by the serpent. So if you notice alchemically, it's saying now the man without regard has now have an enlightenment, but it's crafty. It's a serpent. It's something that looks harmless, but it's very dangerous. And then it's saying from produced of the spiritual tree of the garden, we may eat. Eat is to take in something, have sustenance, and then use it as energy. Number 3. But from fruit of the tree, that in midst of the garden, he said, Elohim, not you shall eat from him, and not you shall touch on him, lest you die. Now you notice it says from him. So it's saying, but from produced of the tree that in the midst or among the garden, Atum said, Elohim, not you shall eat. And not you shall touch on him, lest you die. So this is to say, this is alchemical constant that they're not supposed to touch or eat. So they can't take him in as substance. And they can't take him in, they can't do anything of it, lest you die. So they're saying die as in give up the ghost. And you notice it says, but from fruit of the tree. So it's saying from produced of the tree. So the things that the tree produces, you can't touch. And in the midst of the garden is to say among the garden. So you notice it says midst. It really doesn't say, it's a word that means among when you read it. So most people look at it and think about it as the middle. But to say the middle is what makes people believe it's one tree. But this is in the midst, midst, of the garden. Because it's saying it's more than one tree. And then it said, he said, Elohim, not you shall touch. Because when it says he said, it is talking about the base of the person, what the person is made of. Elohim is the person's gods. Not you shall eat. You can't take that in as sustenance. So it's saying in order to do that God cultivation, they can't take that in as substance. And they can't touch it because they can't do. They can't do what's in the midst, what's on those trees that are of good and evil, that has both good and evil on them. And it's saying, lest you shall die, because it's saying if you do, your soul will die. You'll give up the ghost. So here, one of the ways you can tell it's talking about give up the ghost is because on number 4. And number 5, it's going to say, you shall not surely die. You see? Number 4, it says, but he said, the serpent, to the woman, man without regard, not to die, you will die. Now, most people are saying, that's you will not surely die. But Atum said, the serpent, the crafty men and women, to the man without regard, not to die, you will die. And then number 5 is 4. Knowing Elohim, that of day of, to eat you from him, that you will be opened, eyes of you, and you will be, it says like, because it means to be not of, but to be, it isn't to be a God, but it's to be God-like. And what that honestly is saying is like a false God. So you will be, I would say, alike God, but like a false God, knowing of good and evil. So this is literally saying that a person cannot get their Godship because they'll know both good and evil. Okay? Because for knowing Elohim, that on day of, to eat you from him. So you're going to eat from the Atum. That means from the Atum that's being crafty and that's telling you to do that. If you eat from that Atum, if you eat from what they're doing, knowing Elohim, that on day of, to eat you from him. And it says, or knowing Elohim. So if you knowing Elohim, that on the day of, day is always state of time, to eat you from him, to take in sustenance you from that Atum. Then that they will be opened eyes of you. So it's saying your knowledge. Eyes is knowledge. So that's going to open the knowledge. Because eyes take in the knowledge. Is what's representative of knowledge. And then you'll only be alike a God, but not a God, because you'll know good and evil. You see? So in this particular number 5, it's saying if you follow that Atum, if you do what that Atum says, okay, man without regard, because they're talking to a man without regard. And that man without regard is listening to someone who's crafty and telling him to do something that he should not do, that he should not eat of the, he shouldn't do evil. But this crafty one is saying, now your eyes gonna be open, because he's saying your knowledge is gonna be open. Okay. And then he said your knowledge gonna be open, but you're gonna be like a God, but not a God, and you're gonna know evil and good. When she saw, when enlightenment saw the man without regard, that good the tree for food, and that delight he to the eyes. So this is why the tree was good for food and a delight to the eyes. Because if you are thinking that it was a serpent in a tree, garden, a lot of people ask, well, why would the tree be made good for food and a delight to the eyes? And being desired the tree to make wise. Then she took from fruit of him, and she ate, and she gave also to husband of her with her, and he ate. So this is why it's good for food and a delight to the eyes, because on that particular thing, they're saying that that is something that's wanted, that a person can do good or evil in order to get. Because it being a delight to the eyes and good for food is to say it's good for sustenance. This will give you energy. It will be an enlightenment because it's going to produce something. Now remember, everything, every tree in the garden is good, except those who have, you can do both good and evil. And that's how it explains that it's a delight to the eyes. When the enlightenment saw the man without regard, that good the tree for substance, and that delight Atum to the eyes, and being desired the tree to make wise, then enlightenment took from fruit of Atum, and enlightenment ate, and enlightenment gave also to husband of enlightenment with her, with enlightenment, and Atum ate. All these things means it's saying this person without regard looked and said, and now that person is enlightened by that. That is the person who is saying that the things that they desire and they want can be gotten from that tree. And that it's those things, because that's being desired. And then it says the tree will make wise. Yeah, because it will open the eyes. The eyes is the key to wisdom. So the enlightenment took from the produced of the Atum. So what it is that the Atum is producing that was showing the enlightenment, she took from that. And then that's what she used for sustenance. And of course, it's going to be given to all of those who have that enlightenment. So enlightenment is the things that people are cultivating, the things wanted. That's always going to be given to the person who is dedicated to that enlightenment, which is the husband. If that enlightenment is desiring what is of the tree with the evil on it. And we know that that's possible because that's the particular reason why they say the woman, because the woman is the man without regard. So the man without regard, the one with no gods, can delight in a tree with evil on it. So once the man without regard delights of the tree without evil on it, it's saying to make wise, meaning it'll open your eyes. Eyes is the key to, is where wisdom is comes in to be processed to, on the brain, of the brain. Okay. Taking the fruit of him is that person's eating from what is produced from that Atum. Okay, so whatever that Atum is telling them, they're looking at all of that Atum produced, and they are desiring that, and they taking that from him. That means took it in as substance, what he had, and gave also to everything that's dedicated to her. Okay. And then that Atum ate. Is then they were opened, eyes of both of them, and they knew that they they knew that naked they, and they sewed together a leaf of fig tree, and they made for them loincloths. They was talking to me, and I didn't even see it. Now to say the eyes were opened, both of them. Then they were then they were opened, eyes of both of them, and they knew that naked they, and sewed together leaf of fig tree. Now the significance of figs. Or, and I knew what the significance of figs were. For digestive health. Skin of the fruit is it's red on the inside. It's filled with seeds, and the fruit is purple, which is blue and red, and it's filled with seeds. And so those things are very significant. Something purple, blue, and red. Ideas that are consistent, and it's filled with things, seeds that grow with more consistent ideas. Now, when it says eyes of both of them, wisdoms of both of them, and they knew that naked they, okay, so they knew that naked they. So what they're saying is they knew who they were naked. They knew who they really were. And once they knew who they really were, they sewed together a leaf of fig tree and they made for them loincloths. So they were covering themselves. So what that does is cover up what they were producing and covering up them naked. Really, it's not even covering themselves. It's covering up who they are. Okay, when they say that they know who they are naked, they're covering up who they are. So this is the enlightenment and the Atum, covering up who they really are. So that's the significance of them knowing themselves naked, is that they're going to cover up who they actually are. Okay, the sound of evolution, Elohim walking about in the garden at wind of the day, which is like when there's time to evolve. They hid themselves, the man and what he was dedicated to, which is the wife of the Atum, from presence of Elohim, from the presence of the evolutionary Elohim, in midst of trees of the garden. So when they're hiding themselves from evolution, that is because they're not evolutionary. They are doing evil. Evil is not evolutionary, so it hides. So covering up with the fig apron is to hide who they really are, to hide their nakedness, because they're hiding what they really are, which is the people who are doing evil. And then when it's time to evolve, they're definitely hiding who they are. Okay? Because they're not evolutionary. So when that evolution comes calling, they're gonna hide. So that's, and it was significant that I talk about that. One, because I was talking about that in another place for another reason. And two, because that's significant because of now. Now that it's time to evolve, those who are not evolutionary and doing evil are trying to hide themselves. So when evolution comes calling, they're hiding. You see, one of the ways they hide is they take knowledge that was already and they try to establish it like it's new. So when you look at these things in the sacred text, they're um, dimension. Oh, okay. So for much cash, if you watch this again, the text that I'm reading now is a site, because the text that I'm reading is directly translated from Hebrew, but you can look on a site called Hebrew Interliner, and it's on there. And those trees by Israel are not herb trees; they're spiritual trees. And yes, I'm good. Um, when you say that, what's your setup? I just realized my son would know exactly what you were talking about. So if y'all look at this again, y'all see. Y'all, I was explaining so good. Okay, let me do this again. Son of, so number 3 in Numbers. Did y'all hear any of it from the Numbers? Okay, because I'm in number 3 of Numbers. Numbers, chapter 1, script 3. From son of 20 year and above, every of one going out, army in Israel, you shall list them according to the assignments of military service of them, you and Aaron. So this is like from produced of 20 year and above, every of the one going out. So anytime you see numbers in the sacred text, it's dimensional. So it means 20, gathering knowledge and information in the atmosphere, and also 20 year. Everyone going out, army in Israel. Now the army is according to, is a part of the mountain of strength. Of the ones who are cultivating God's ship, it says you shall list them according to what they are doing within that mountain of strength. And that's why it says you and Aaron. Explaining it. Or, and and with you, you shall be man to the tribe, man head to the house of fathers of him, he. So, and with you, you shall be spirit to the tribe, spirit head to house of fathers of him, he. To house of fathers is where we came from, so fathers is what we of, spirit. Atum. Read that again. The way it's translated, and with you they shall be spirit, spirit, spirit to the tribe, spirit head to fathers of Atum. So that's to say, whatever it is they're cultivating and evolving, it's going to become the spirit of who they are. Or in Numbers. Okay, so I don't know if you all heard it, so I'll go back to the first one just to make sure you all understood it. Because I didn't know that the sound wasn't on. Um, Way to Moshe in wilderness of Sinai and tent of assembly, no one to the month, the second in the year, the second to come out them from land of Egypt to say. So this is to say, and he spoke, the Atum spoke YahWeh to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai. So Sinai is talking about thorns. So remember in Gilgamesh when he had to swim all the way down to the box thorn, that means he had to deal with obstacles. Okay? Now to say an Atum spoke YahWeh, that means they were evolving to Moshe. So when Atum spoke evolution to those coming out of the water, they're saying the people who are revolutionary, who are drawn out of the water, evolved in the wilderness, going through obstacles. Okay, this is the wilderness. So it's not necessarily organized, but they are going through obstacles in the tent of assembly, which is like in the nation. No one to the month, the second in the year, the second to come out of them from land of Egypt to say. So the second is to the month, the second is always gathering knowledge and or information. When we talk about months, days, year, days is the day of, is the state of. Okay, that's within a month, which is the states within that period of time. And then years, it goes accordingly in those sects of time, in those times. It's always alchemical and dimensional. So it has a double meaning all the time. And it's always dimensional, always makes sense if you understand alchemy. So this is to say, when we say this particular script, they're coming out of the land of Egypt, which is a land of dread. The nation is always called Kemet except when it's called Egypt for a short time, and that is when there was witchcraft and there was people, not good. We put out the witchcraft and then it was good again. But while we had the witchcraft there, while it was capitalism and we didn't like it, we called it Egypt because we dreaded that. It was not good life process for a bunch of people, and a bunch of people were very unhappy. So to say, and he spoke, and the Atum spoke YahWeh. The Atum spoke evolution to the ones drawn out of the water, because it says, and he spoke YahWeh to Moshe. Okay? So speaking is a recital. That means YahWeh to Moshe. If YahWeh is speaking to Moshe, that means the ones who are drawn out of the water are evolving. In wilderness of Sinai, meanings they are in a place where there are thorns and they're going through obstacles, but they are evolving. In a tent of assembly, it's like the nation, one to the month the second. To the month the second. Okay, so this is people gathering knowledge and or information in the year the second, gathering knowledge and or information to come out of them from the land of Egypt. So these are people gathering knowledge and information to come out of the dread. Okay, and then it's going to say to say, because it's going to say recite. So when it says on 1 to the month the second, in the year the second, the year the second. All of that is not how somebody would say one, like January, February, in the year the second. No. The second year would be the time of gathering knowledge and information within that time. So it says on 1 to the month. Assembly on 1 to the month the second in the year. So a month is a period of time where they have days of. Okay, the second is the time where they're gathering knowledge and information. And the year is a time, a group of sect of time gathering knowledge and information. And they're doing that to come out of the dread and to recite. They're evolving. So number one is saying the people drawn out of the water are evolving. And they are reciting to come out of the land of dread, to change the environment. Number two, take up head of every, of congregation of people of Israel, by clans of them, by house of fathers of them, on numbers of names, every of male, according to skulls of them. So when you see number two here, it says take up head of every of congregation. A head is where information and knowledge is processed. Okay, a congregation of people in Israel, these are the people who are cultivating godship. By clans, by house of fathers of them is where they're from. On numbers of names, every of male, which is what they are of, according to what is being processed. So what they're saying is, according to what they are processing, take up is to level up. So to take up, level up. Okay, process of every of congregation, people cultivating Israel. So that is to say, those who are cultivating godship is leveling up according to who they are, and the male being, and the clans of them is what they are, what they're doing, what they're cultivating is the clans of them. By house of fathers of them is who they are. And numbers of names, every of male, according to skulls of them, is, okay, numbers of names. Numbers and names are all alchemy. So we know the alchemical numbers, okay? Names of every male is what they are of, who they are of. Males are alchemical constants. So that could be a male or female, both, according to skulls of them. So that's according to what they are processing. So what this script is saying, that they're leveling up according to what they are processing within their clans, within what, what they are doing. It's a way of saying everyone is doing something, and according to what they are doing and where they come from, they are leveling up according to what they are processing. That in the first, they're saying that they are evolving, and they're saying they're evolving according, each one according to what they're processing, according to who they are. That's what 1 and 2 of Numbers is saying to us alchemically. From son of 20 year and above, every of one going out army in Israel, you shall list them according to assignments of military service, them, you and Aaron. So this is like list everyone who's in the army of strength, who's in the mountain of strength. Because I already explained that one to you. And with you, they shall be man to the tribe, man head to the house of fathers of him he. So spirit to the tribe, spirit head, house of fathers of him he. So, and with you they shall be spirit to the tribe. So that's to say the spirit of the tribe is going to be the spirit to the tribe. According to the head, according to who they are and what they're processing, it's going to be what they are processing and how they're evolving. It's going to become their spirit, or at least to say their spiritual nature. And these names, the men who they shall stand with you, for Reuben, Eleazar, son of Shedeur. Oh, what's Shedeur? Hold on one moment, y'all. Okay, so number 5, and these names of them, the spirit, who they shall stand with you for, behold the sun, sun, God is my help, produced of field of light. So this is saying the spirit who they shall stand with you. So what the spirit will stand with you. You're standing the spirit for, you're producing the help of cultivating the Godship. Okay, so cultivating the Godship is having you to produce, and then it's the son of the field of light. So if you understand this, it's saying, look, you're producing with cultivating with the help of cultivating a Godship, and that's producing a field of light. And that field of light is a field of, like to say, much enlightenment. They're producing much enlightenment. Okay? Particular spirits are producing much enlightenment because as they're cultivating Godship. Verse 6, for Simeon Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai. Ooh, I gotta look up Zurishaddai. Saying for Simeon, Shelemiel, son of Zerushadai. So this is saying is heard, or has heard. So has heard. Something that's heard is saying that something that's being cultivated is being responded to. Okay? And what's being responded to is that those who are solid within cultivation of their godship, and that has become mighty. So they're becoming mighty within their being solid in their cultivation of godship. Or two. Look at this one. Maybe I need to go to some other text. To me. So what happens is when lightning speaks to me. Translated publicly. I mean, on video. What about this guy? Satanism, and they kill people, they get real lazy. Somebody who did Satanism before said that she think that he pays somebody to dump the body. I think one way or another he was doing Satanism and he got lazy, like they do. Posed, and then people were smelling it and they found it. And then you notice it was wrapped up, it was chopped up and wrapped up in plastic. So maybe he was hoping that the smell wouldn't go through the plastic. Let's see. Standard of him, the banners, according to the house of fathers of them, they shall encamp people of Israel. From before all around tent of assembly, they shall encamp. Spirit near standard of Atum with banners. House of them, and where they from. People of those cultivating Godship from before. All around tent of assembly they shall encamp. Okay, so they shall assemble, encamping, those who are cultivating Godship. This is the way they'll set up, and they'll be themselves according to what they're cultivating and where they came from. Godship. It's like where they're well they'll be where they're gonna be encamped in this space. They're gonna be that's the house of where they come from. So in other words, it's like to say saying they shall encamp is like saying they shall post up. This is where they're gonna be, and then this is what they're gonna present. So that's gonna be the face of them, is where they encamped at, according to what they cultivating, the Godship they're cultivating, and where they come from. Number two, Numbers number two, script one, two script two. One is, and he spoke YahWeh to Moshe and to Aaron to say, which is, and he spoke, and Atum spoke evolution to drawn out of the water to the revolutionaries and to the mountain of strength to say. So basically, to say they evolved. Revolutionaries evolved. Them is according to where they are, where they came from, is where they shall be encamped. So that's what they gonna be. East sunrise division of the camp, Judah, by troops of them, and chief the people of Judah, Nashan, son of Aminadab. So the ones encamping east, division of camp of Judah. So the ones who are going to be the praised ones, according to the chief, by troops of them and chief to the people, Judah. So the Judas are going to be like the ones who's going to be the chief, the leaders. And the leaders are going to rise. And then Nahshon, son of Aminadab. Number three is saying the praised ones are going to rise from that. Those are the ones that's going to be um, enchanted with it. They're really going to be the ones who are going to be, and those are the people who are going to be, as far as spiritually, the noble, not physically, but spiritually noble. They're going to be the praised ones. So those who are the chiefs, those they're basically saying the chiefs are going to rise of those camps already. say something too. Just right here. Dollar. I did want to say something like, calling Michelle Obama a man. Now she know that's not a man. We've seen too many pictures of Michelle as a child with her family members. Fly. Macron one, I understood that one because she had all of that knowledge there, and it did really look, it did add up to that. But the whole thing with Michelle, I'm not really sure what that's even about. Do I think Obama might have did satanic ceremonies? Sure. Everybody is doing satanic ceremonies who are famous now. Is she? That's crazy. Because we've seen many pictures of her with her family members. Well, so if she's really getting sued, YahWeh not gonna win that lawsuit. Now I knew that, and I even said it. I believe that Candace had a chance to win that lawsuit, but this whole thing, Michelle, no. If she actually does sue, Jaguar gonna lose that lawsuit. Be careful. I'm talking about World War III. Looking too much at outside. Um, doing outside, you might end up finding that the devil is really trying to get you right inside your house. On the outside, and you're not looking at your inside your house. And there's plenty going on inside the house because they're dudes. They're brown men being hung on trees, and when they're hanging them, they're putting them out for display. Like I said before, they're on display. They could kill him if they just wanted to kill him. They could hide him somewhere. Reason why they're putting them on display. And if they're putting them on display, that looks like witchcraft. Most people look at it as a provocation. But realistically, they do a lot of Satanism, witchcraft, and that's probably very much witchcraft. And if it is, that's saying they want something done before people know they did. until I find something that I haven't interpreted publicly. Maybe I'm gonna go to the Greek. So I'll probably go to the Greek, but until I do, I'm gonna do some things. Is my audio bad today, really? Can you hear me? Can you hear me better now? No wonder. Yeah, I did all of that. Can y'all hear me now? Is someone there? Can you hear me? Those who are there, can you hear my voice? Am I just speaking and you don't hear any sound come out? Or can you hear my voice? Hello, can you hear me? Am I being heard or am I just speaking and you can't hear me? My sound was on. I don't know what part is going to be heard. I don't know what part is going to be unheard. What is it? I'll pick this up later on today since maybe I'll listen and then I'll see if I'm heard or not.